The chainsaws were scheduled for Monday morning, but on Sunday night, the sky turned violent. I stood at my window, watching the oaks sway in the rising wind. That tree had stood longer than every house in this neighborhood combined. My grandfather planted it before the HOA even existed. He always said, "This tree has roots deeper than their rules." The HOA president, Mr. Avery, didn't care. All he saw was a non-standard foliage obstruction. He called it a hazard, an eyesore, a threat to uniformity. I called it family. The argument began 2 weeks earlier. Avery marched into my yard with his tape measure and his inflated authority. "This tree violates the height restrictions," he declared. I stared at him. "It's a living piece of history." He checked his clipboard like he was consulting scripture. "Our landscaping guidelines are clear. Any tree exceeding 25 feet must be approved and logged with the community commissioner. This one is wildly non-compliant. This tree has been here since before you were born. That is irrelevant. Compliance is mandatory." I asked if there were exemptions, heritage preservation, environmental considerations. His answer was simple and cruel. Cut it down or face daily fines, large ones. I hired an arborist, certified, professional. He documented that the oak was stable, disease-free, and a protected species under county environmental rules. Avery rejected it because the document didn't match the HOA's preferred formatting. Every appeal I filed was denied. Then came the final notice. Demolish the tree within 10 days or face legal consequences. I stood by that oak every evening after work, hand on its rough bark like I could shield it from their stupidity. The arborist even staked extra support and bracing. The tree wasn't going anywhere until the storm came. By midnight, the wind howled like a freight train. Branches thrashed. Lightning flashed every few seconds. I paced the floor, helpless to stop nature's fury. The oak's trunk groaned under the strain. A loud crack split the air, then another, and then a sound so massive it shook the ground like thunder. The oak fell, but not where anyone expected. The entire top half of the trunk crashed over the fence, across the street, and directly onto the HOA's private parking lot, right on top of Avery's brand new imported SUV. The alarm screamed through the storm. I stepped outside in the rain and stared at the scene. The oak lay like a fallen giant, massive, undeniable, and perfectly aimed. For the first time since this battle began, I smiled. Nature had filed its own appeal. By dawn, the storm calmed, and the neighborhood gathered around the wreckage. Avery's SUV was flattened into an unrecognizable pile of metal and glass. The oak rested majestically on top of it, as if taking a victory nap. Avery arrived red-faced and trembling with rage. "This is your fault," he screamed at me. I replied calmly, "It's a tree, fallen in a storm. You were supposed to cut it down, and you rejected the arborist's safety plan. You insisted the tree was dangerous. Looks like you were finally right." Neighbors snickered behind him. Phones recorded everything. The sheriff showed up soon after. He listened, inspected, and asked for documentation. Avery waved his clipboard frantically, but the sheriff was more interested in my legally certified arborist report. "So you tried to force removal of a protected tree?" the sheriff asked Avery. "It was a violation of HOA uniformity. Uniformity isn't a legal standard. Environmental law is." Then the sheriff turned to me. "Sir, we'll need to document storm damage for insurance purposes. But based on what I see here, you are not liable." Avery exploded. "He has to pay for my car." "No," the sheriff said. "Storm damage falls under your comprehensive insurance, And given that you wrote citations labeling the tree a hazard, your insurer may deny your claim due to negligence. Avery's face went pale. He had trapped himself with his own paperwork. The HOA emergency meeting was held that evening. The arborist report was read into the minutes. The environmental protections were displayed in bold print. Resident after resident demanded accountability for the harassment and legal threats. When the vote came, it wasn't even close. Avery was removed as HOA president effectively immediately. He resigned from the board entirely. I was issued a written apology and full permission to restore and protect what remained of the oak. The stump still stands in my yard. The arborist says new growth is already sprouting. In time, a stronger oak will rise. That night, as I stood beside the stump, I remembered something my grandfather said when we planted seedlings together. You don't fight nature, you stand with it. Nature fights back on its own. He was right. The HOA wanted to cut down a piece of my family's history. Instead, they cut down their own leader's reputation. The oak may have fallen, but justice stood tall. And the roots, those remain untouched.